Hey everyone, and welcome back to Market Dive. Today we're tackling a question that I know has been on a lot of people's
Yeah,
minds.
for sure.
Could quantum computers actually spell the end of Bitcoin?
It's a big question, and it's definitely getting a lot of attention. And, rightfully so. Quantum computing is a
Yeah.
total game changer. And we really have to take this seriously when we're talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. For this deep dive, you guys sent in a YouTube video by Andre Geek, and he breaks down the basics of quantum computing and how it could impact Bitcoin.
Right.
And then you also sent in an article called "Is Quantum Computing a Threat to Bitcoin?"
Mm.
So we're going to be diving into both of those today. And let's just start with the fundamentals here. What is a quantum computer, and how is it different from the computers that we use every single day?
So it's kind of like comparing a bicycle to a spaceship.
Yeah.
The computers that we use every day rely on bits,
Yep.
which can be a 0 or a 1, right?
Yeah.
But quantum computers use these things called qubits. And they're more like a coin that can be heads or tails or both at the same time.
No.
And this is because of this crazy concept called superposition.
Okay. So instead of just being on or off, it can be in multiple states at once.
Exactly. And that's really what gives these quantum computers their power. They can explore tons of possibilities all at the same time.
Yeah.
And this makes them way faster than traditional computers for certain types of calculations.
Wow.
In fact, the YouTube video that you sent in mentions that Google's Willow chip,
Right.
which is their newest quantum processor, solved a problem in under 5 minutes.
Oh.
And that same problem would take a supercomputer longer than the age of the universe to solve.
5 minutes versus billions of years? That's insane.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, so that's a big difference.
Okay.
And I imagine that speed is kind of what makes these quantum computers a threat to Bitcoin's encryption,
Exactly.
even if they're not quite there yet.
Yeah. To understand the threat, we really need to understand how Bitcoin is secured.
Yeah.
So it has two main layers of protection. The first is this thing called ECDSA,
All right.
which stands for Elliptic Curve Digital Signature Algorithm.
Catchy.
Super catchy. I know. But you can think about it like a digital signature that's unique to each Bitcoin transaction.
Okay, so the YouTube video actually had a pretty simple analogy for this. It said your private key is like a secret that lets you spend your Bitcoin.
Right.
And then your public key is like your account number that you share
Yeah.
to receive Bitcoin.
Exactly.
So is ECDSA what makes sure those transactions are secure?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Then you have the second layer of security called SHA-256,
Okay.
which stands for Secure Hash Algorithm 256-bit.
Okay.
This is what secures the entire Bitcoin blockchain itself.
Gotcha.
It's extremely robust, and that's what makes it basically impossible to tamper with the transaction history.
So you have one layer that protects individual wallets and then another one that's protecting the entire system itself. Now, the YouTube video also mentioned this thing called Shor's algorithm, and it said that theoretically it could allow a quantum computer that's powerful enough to crack that ECDSA encryption.
Yeah, that is kind of the nightmare scenario.
Oh, no.
Shor's algorithm could allow a hacker to figure out your private key just by knowing your public key.
Oh, wow.
And if someone can do that, they can steal your Bitcoin.
So would that require a quantum computer that's more powerful than anything that exists today?
Definitely. The YouTube video emphasized that to break ECDSA with Shor's algorithm, you'd need a quantum computer with over 1 million qubits.
Yeah.
Google's Willow chip only has 105.
Right.
So we're not quite there yet.
That's a relief.
At least not to the steal the Bitcoin stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cracking individual wallets is only part of the problem, right?
Right.
What about the security of the entire network, like that SHA-256 thing?
Right. So that's where this thing called Grover's algorithm comes in. And it's another quantum algorithm that could maybe be used to break SHA-256.
Oh.
But even with Grover's algorithm, the number of possibilities that a quantum computer would have to search through is just astronomical.
Yeah.
It's like trying to find a specific grain of sand on all the beaches in the world.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like the threat is real, but it's not like we're all going to wake up tomorrow and our Bitcoin's going to be gone.
Exactly. The good news is that even with these quantum computers, stealing your Bitcoin won't be easy.
Okay.
It's going to take a crazy, powerful machine and a lot of luck.
So the Bitcoin community isn't just sitting around waiting for something to happen, are they?
No, definitely not. The article that you sent actually pointed out that there are some really smart people already working on solutions to quantum-proof Bitcoin.
So what are they doing to make sure that our Bitcoin is safe in the quantum future?
It's kind of like they're building a quantum-proof vault for Bitcoin.
Okay.
One of the most promising things that they're working on is developing these quantum-resistant signatures. So these are totally new cryptographic algorithms that are built to resist attacks from both classical and quantum computers.
Okay.
Like, imagine changing the locks on your house to something that even the most skilled locksmith couldn't pick.
Right.
Whether they had their traditional tools or some kind of futuristic quantum gadgets.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I imagine, though, that designing these new algorithms is super complicated.
Yeah.
It's not like they can just tweak the old ones a little bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a huge undertaking. You need a really deep understanding of both cryptography and this whole emerging field of quantum computing.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that the Bitcoin community is actually up for the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like that report that you sent highlighted that there are so many talented developers out there who are dedicated to finding these solutions.
So new algorithms are one approach. What about existing Bitcoin wallets?
Yeah.
Is there a way to make those more quantum resistant? The article mentioned something called Taproot.
Oh, yeah, Taproot. That's a really great example of Bitcoin's ability to adapt and evolve.
Okay.
It wasn't specifically designed for quantum resistance,
Okay.
but it does allow for something called a secondary spending condition,
Okay.
which means you could add a second quantum resistant lock to your Bitcoin wallet, even if it was created before these new types of locks even existed.
So even if someone figures out how to break the original lock, they'd still need to get past the second quantum resistant one.
Exactly.
That's a good strategy.
It's like double locking your door.
Yeah, but how would you even go about upgrading all of these existing wallets?
Yeah.
There are millions of them.
Yeah, it would definitely be a challenge. It would take a coordinated effort from the entire Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
Users might have to update their digital wallets or even move their Bitcoin to new addresses that support these quantum-resistant features.
Right.
But that's where one of Bitcoin's biggest strengths comes in.
Okay.
And it's this ability to upgrade itself through something called a hard fork.
Oh, yeah. The YouTube video compared it to a snake shedding its skin.
Exactly.
And I actually saw this firsthand during the Bitcoin Cash hard fork back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was an interesting time.
Yeah, hard forks basically allow for big changes to the Bitcoin protocol.
Okay.
You're essentially updating its DNA to meet these new challenges. They're a really powerful tool, and they're driven by consensus within the Bitcoin community.
Right.
Which is something that really sets Bitcoin apart from traditional financial systems. This ability to adapt and evolve is so crucial for Bitcoin's long-term survival,
Right.
especially when we're talking about things like quantum computing.
So instead of being stuck with security measures from 2009 when it was created, it can adapt as new challenges come out.
Exactly. It's like a living, breathing financial system that can
Right.
upgrade its own defenses.
And that's why it's so important to have a strong and active development community,
Exactly.
which Bitcoin definitely does.
For sure.
It sounds like the Bitcoin community is really taking this seriously.
Yeah.
They're not just ignoring it.
Yeah, they're actively working on solutions to stay ahead of the curve.
But it makes you wonder, though, if quantum computers could threaten Bitcoin, what does that mean for everything else in our digital lives?
That's a great question. It goes way beyond cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Like, if quantum computers could break the encryption that protects Bitcoin,
Right.
it means they could break the encryption that's protecting almost everything else in our world.
Yeah, we're talking about like banks and financial systems and healthcare records and government communications. Basically anything that relies on encryption to keep information safe.
Exactly. And the YouTube video actually suggested that Bitcoin might be the first target for a really serious quantum attack.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you think about it, attacking a bank or a government would have some pretty serious legal consequences.
Yeah, for sure.
But with Bitcoin, there's no central authority.
Right.
There's no single person or organization that can retaliate.
So it's kind of like a test run for somebody with a quantum computer.
Exactly.
They can show off what they can do without getting in trouble.
Exactly. And that actually brings us to a really important aspect of Bitcoin that we haven't really talked about yet.
Okay.
It's decentralized nature.
Right.
Unlike traditional financial systems, which have these central points of control,
Right.
Bitcoin is spread across a network of computers all over the world.
Okay. Can you remind me why that's important here?
Sure. So let's say a hacker with a quantum computer tries to attack a traditional bank.
All right.
They could target a central server and potentially cripple the entire system.
Right.
But with Bitcoin, there's no single point of failure.
Okay.
Even if they manage to steal Bitcoin from one specific wallet,
Yeah.
the network itself would just keep on working.
Except like a high cut off one head and two more grow back.
That's a great analogy.
I like that one.
Yeah, and plus, the stolen Bitcoin would still be traceable on the blockchain,
Right.
and the network as a whole would remain completely intact.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked a lot about how Bitcoin is getting ready for this quantum future.
Right.
What about us? Like, what can regular people do to protect themselves in a world where these quantum computers exist?
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
Yeah,
This is a field that is constantly evolving, so it's important to stay up to date on all the latest developments and the potential risks.
right.
I mean, podcasts like this one are a great way to do that.
I was hoping you would say that. But besides staying informed, are there any, like, practical steps we can take?
Definitely. The same old advice about using strong passwords and two-factor authentication is more important than ever.
Yeah.
Those basic security practices can really go a long way.
Okay, and as quantum-resistant encryption starts to become available, we should probably try to use that,
Absolutely.
whether that's updating our software or choosing services that prioritize that kind of security. We need to be proactive.
Exactly. It's all about being aware and being prepared and being ready to adapt.
Right.
Quantum computing is not just some theoretical thing anymore.
Right.
It's a reality that's coming fast, and it's going to have a huge impact on all of us.
So it sounds like we don't need to panic, but we shouldn't just ignore it either.
Exactly.
We need to stay informed and take steps to protect ourselves and have these conversations about how we want to deal with this whole quantum future.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that needs to happen at a much larger scale.
Yeah.
We need to think about the ethical implications of quantum computing and figure out how to make sure that this technology is used responsibly.
I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into the world of quantum computing and Bitcoin and everything else.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey exploring all of this stuff, and we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But this is really just the beginning. The quantum era is here, and it's full of amazing possibilities and some challenges.
Yeah, a huge thank you to everyone for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
I hope you found it helpful and interesting. And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something that we create. Let's make sure that we create a quantum future that benefits all of humanity.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into something totally new. But in the meantime, stay curious, stay informed, and keep thinking about the future we're building together.